Yeah,
Sorry about that.
technology.
Right. Yeah. So what I was saying was, I know if you were to list it right, what happens is it opens up to more people, but the only people you're looking for are investors, really, because not like a family member is going to move into that when it's already rented out. And
Right.
so I believe a lot of investors are going to get their own loans, and when they go get the loan, whether they're financing 150, 160 grand or whatever the amount is that they actually finance,
Uh-huh.
when you attach the new rate to that, especially as an investor, we typically buy more properties, so our rates are not always like the lowest. And
Uh-huh.
so I think that's where it'll make it hard for them to make the decision on buying, is because their payment will be very high before taxes and insurance, and even just tax and insurance on there, I believe would make it a stretch for them to make money. And then I just wanted to go over like the reality, right? Like, I think it'll take some time, and on top of the time, you're not going to get all the money you're looking for at the end of the day either, because you're going to have to pay a commission on that, which is normal. We do that when we sell houses with agents, but you're going to have to reduce that from what your actual sale price is. Then we have closing costs. Typically, there's 6-8% right there with commissions and closing costs. But then you have that $5,000 payment penalty that you add on top of that. So in a
Yeah.
scenario, let's say you don't get 170, and a lot of it is more because the rates are high. It's not even the price. Besides, the market isn't helping you, being a little bit away from other places and being a little bit less active. You're the only one that is renovated right there, so you're basically calling the shot on the price. I can see it to be weary for a lot of people to make that decision, but what I'm getting to is, at the end of the day, you might really pocket 140, 150, depending on what your sales price really is. And at the end of the day, it's going to take you time. But if it happens at a number you like, you'll be completely cashed out the deal, right? So you'll won't owe any money to your debt servicer. You'll pay a little prepayment penalty fee, but you'll be free and clear out of the deal, and you'll have all your money up front before taxes, right? So you're still going to pay a capital gain and things like that on this, right? Which are, I don't know, 30, 40% of your actual capital gain. And so if you were to sell our way, what happens is you avoid capital gains because it's not an all cash sale. You only pay taxes on the amount that's giving down in your pocket. And then we're going to go ahead and skip the commissions being paid out. So you get to save 6%. It's not paid off, so you're not having a prepayment penalty. You're saving $5,000 right there. And the rest of your money, as it gets paid out, you pay, whatever little taxes on the actual passive income that comes in on your end. Now, for the term that we need, how we said 10 years, it's not likely that we're going to go the full 10 years, because as investors, we always have ways to maneuver and get into different projects. We keep it there for stability because of the weary market, but the reality is I might hold it for 3 or 4 years and then just resell it to somebody else or refinance you out at a better interest rate, obviously. So it could be that I have this property for maybe 3 or 4 years, and then we just sell it or get rid of it completely, and then basically paying you off. So we might not even go the full 10 years, but here's the benefit if we do it this way, is that if we lock it up at 160 or 170 or whatever the number happens to be that makes sense for us, that you get that full amount. You're not going to be losing on that. You're going to get that amount to you. It's just like how we just went over. It's just going to take us some time to give you the remaining balance. But that's kind of like the options that we have, is that we can come in and still work this out, maybe at a little bit higher of a price. We just got to maneuver the down payment to make sure that everything still makes sense for us. But other than that, I think that it could benefit you on our side a little bit more, though you get quicker cash if you happen to sell it at a price that made sense for you. The thing is, you'd pay for all those fees plus capital gains. So I don't know exactly if you're really going to only make, $20,000 at the end of the day after paying your capital gains taxes, commissions, closing costs, prepayment penalty. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm
So,
just brainstorming with And I do the same thing as you do. So I'm just trying to brainstorm. Like I'm not pressuring you. I'm just, hey, you do have
No,
the
no, no.
other option
I
also.
get it. I get it.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm new to this type of thing, but I'm not new to money. I'm not new to the
Right.
concept of saving money or making money or you know.
Good. Okay.
So at the end of the day, we want to keep the big people, the banks and everybody else out of the business. But at the same time, I've done 1,000% improvement on this property, and I'm not yet getting back what I need because this property was supposed to give me at least $150,000 cash money in my hand. That's how I played it out in my head, right? Until the
Right.
reality of the appraisal came back to me, and I was really in a bad place. So I just
Right.
took what I needed. I took what I can get because I needed to get money to take care of that. Now, if you're willing to give me my at least appraised value, which is underappraised based on because of my situation, at even 5 years from now, you sell this property, and I would recommend waiting to 5 years because you don't want a prepayment penalty.
Uh-huh.
It, what happens at the in the first year of the loan, it's five. Next year, a year after, it's 4. The next year is 3%. So that's how it works.
Got
So
you.
you want, okay, so it's a descending whatever. So it would benefit you to. So okay, so let's just say you and I came to an agreement, and I'm getting my 15,000 up front so I could pay down my credit cards that I owe based from this house because it makes no sense to me to not do business with you and take as much as you can give me because I need it. I need it now,
Got
not
you.
30
I
years from
got
now,
you.
not 10 years. Okay, not two
Uh-huh.
months from now. I need it. I need it when I need it. So I want to do business with a guy like yourself because I understand what you're doing, and I don't mind passing on the equity to you. I don't care. The house has a lot of equity, but at least give me at my start. I'm asking for my 170 because I believe even at 170 I'm underappraised. I'm
And I
undervalued.
saw that you bought. I saw where you bought it at, and so, and then now that you have your loan at 100, I can see that you spent a lot of money and time into the project. You bought it for 30. You probably put a shitload of
Sure.
money into it, and you're at
Yes,
100 right now, and you were expecting 250. I'll tell you this:
I was.
last year,
Yeah, I was.
because last year I bought two properties that I just sold. I broke even. I broke even on
Yeah.
those. I made some money on two other properties I recently sold, but those because those are really good deals when I bought them, and I bought them during the recession last year without reanalyzing the numbers of what it was going to do in today's market. So I ended up, I worked for free on two houses basically to break even. So I could definitely relate on like, man, being disappointed on running your numbers and thinking it was going to go well, but then it's none of our fault that the market took a crap, and that's what it hurt
Yeah.
us, and it hurt your end too. You now, at least you got some equity in there. At least you didn't like, hey, you're only worth 130, and you're like, holy crap, I spent all this time and money to maybe make
Yeah.
30 before taxes and everything. That's a hard
Hard.
play. You get me? That one sucks.
Hard.
And so I can relate to that. And so the I get you want the 170. With the 170, it's going to be hard for me to get you the 15,000. And so, like, if you, is it more you want? Do you need more money now in your pocket, or does it make more sense for you to get a higher purchase price? And I can still get you money in your pocket. I just most likely won't be able to give you the appraisal price plus 15.
Wow.
Is there, what is like,
Yeah.
what would be more beneficial for you, right? Is it the price and you still get a down payment, or is it like you'd want the most down payment and still get a reasonable price?
I want a good down payment, but $15,000 is really not. It's an okay down. It's not a great down payment. It's you know I had to well where I had to put down a lot more money than that. But you know,
Right, right.
um, but
And I would like, I mean, when I go to a bank too, we typically put more money down. But what happens is, if I go to a bank, I give them a down payment, not you, and then I have to pay them a higher interest. I won't be able to do it. That's the only reason I'm like, hey, I'm coming to you saying, hey, this is a model that works with us as well. It's just that at the end of the day, we do have to agree because where we were
so
is
if
we're at
you
150. Uh huh.
okay, so if we notch the numbers, you give me 20, and you can do the 150 as a price. Then I can do this deal. But also the remaining balance, it has to be at a 10% interest rate. You can't just, you can't, we have to,
I could go to a bank right now and beat that rate that you're giving me, so we won't be able to do that part on your equity. I'm just letting you know so we don't have any mishaps here. I
okay,
can't get
so
you
what is,
10%.
right now I'm at 9%. Right now, the
Yeah.
loan, the mortgage that I have is 9.5 or 9.2, whatever it is, my payment
The only reason
is
I'm looking
so,
at this deal with when I see 9%, I run away, right? I don't get anything. I
okay,
don't ever pay close to that. But here's the only reason why I'm looking at this deal is because the cash flow is there. That's the only reason why it makes sense is because your
the
rate at nine
cash flow.
percent doesn't. Yeah, your rate. So we buy off of a few things. I'll buy properties with low interest rates, even if I don't really make a lot of money on them, because I could have free cash flow that covers the debt service, and I can get tax incentives on the house. Now, I don't typically try to go over a high rate, especially higher than what a bank can offer me. But the only
So
reason
what
I
is
would
the
look
bank?
at
I don't. Okay, what is the bank offering? What would the
so right
bank
now
offer you?
for if you have good credit right now, I believe you're at 8.25. I believe it just went down actually like a half a point uh
Okay.
last month
Well,
or
we'll
earlier in
do.
the month.
Okay. Well, we'll go with the bank approved rate because it's it's it's
Well,
what
here's where I
what.
have to make it make sense. Okay, so here's where I have to make it make sense is that I I don't buy at bank rates or higher because I could just go to a bank, buy a brand new place the same way, right? I just put a little bit more money down, right? That's all it is. And so what I do is if your rate right now wasn't 9%, I could give you a higher rate than what we can talk about on your equity. But because the 9% rate is there on the majority of the purchase price, that it's going
Yeah.
to eat up most of the cash flow because you pay 1,600 and some change just to the principal and interest. But with taxes and insurance, what's your full payment right now?
Oh, no, 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 no. So principal and interest is 819. And then in 1 month, my escrow will be reevaluated because I had bought an insurance policy that was $3,900, and that had to be an escrow with the tax. So I have changed that. I have changed the plan and got something that's less, like half the price. So the premium now is $2,095 or 2,000 and change. That's the premium for the house. So I called um, the bank and asked them to reevaluate my escrow so that I'm not paying $1,500 for months and months on time. So they said they can only look at the at that situation after 30 some odd days. So anyhow, that day would be um, like the next some middle of next month sometime. And so if they reevaluated my insurance costs and my escrow has an excess, my payment might be lowered more
Got
than
you.
likely.
So
So
then right now your $1,600 includes taxes and insurance, like your escrow.
yes, it includes
Okay.
taxes, principal, insurance, and everything. So it's a
Okay.
really great deal because one house,
So
what
what,
apartment
so what
is paying
happens is
that?
this. Here's what happens on my end. That's off of $100,000, or even your purchase of 30 grand, right? Or you refinance to 100. So you're paying taxes and insurance off of a certain price. I'm now stepping up another 60, 70,000, which readjusts those taxes and insurance on that, which now boosts my payment from yours to what it's going to be when someone like me takes it over. I'm now going to pay a prorated difference because I'm paying $70,000 more than you did or you finished up on. So my tax and insurance goes up is what's going on. So from 16, mine's going to be higher, and then I still got to make you a payment, right? So then if I add an interest rate on there that doesn't make sense, now I probably have no cash flow because I'm obviously I have property management. I have to make some money in here after all expenses. But what happens is when I go and add those high rates, it actually just kills the deal for us on our end. We won't even make any cash flow at that point. I'm not saying I can't give you a rate. I just can't get you, like market rates and things like that. Where we are, when we buy properties like this, when we're stepping up to the table and we're willing to pay more than anybody else in the market, give a down payment, we stick in between 2 to 4% rates is where we are.
Really?
We can't go any higher. Yeah, we can't go any higher because that means I just go to a regular bank at that point. That's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to keep it in an area where we can make it work for us. Otherwise, the high rate will basically increase our monthly payment, and then there's no room for us to make money. You get me?
Yeah.
So I can still put something together where I can get you a rate on your equity. It's just that the fact that it's not going to be subprime or higher, because then it will make us walk away from this opportunity just because the cash flow isn't there. And so remember, I'm only looking at this because the cash flow is there. Otherwise, when I see 9%, I'm like, well, I can't. That's very hard for me to buy. That's really a very high rate.
Yeah. I'm wondering also, I need to call the bank and ask them. But I guess I'm answering my own question by just thinking about the prepayment penalty that they put in place. That if I wanted to double up on my to cut down on the payments, the time. Well, that's a different question. That's not a question for you.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah, I didn't see that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you're about to say.
Yeah.
So more or less, I definitely can, make a payment to you and add a rate to it between 2 to 4%. I just won't be able to. It's gonna be hard for me to give you 170 with $20,000 down and 10%. That right there isn't even a deal.
All right. Okay. So then we don't do that. But so can you give me $20,000? Keep it at the 150. We're trying to do the cash out in 5 years, or whenever you decide you want to do, whenever it pleases you. But how does that? Okay, so if we can do that, as long as I can get a little more money, because honestly, I am in debt about. My credit cards are over $35,000. $15,000 just doesn't do, because I'm right now. I want to get myself to a place where I can go and buy some land and do some things that I want to do. I want to have a trailer park.
That's exactly what I'm doing right now. Where I'm at right now, I'm going to be buying a lot right now, so I can put a mobile home on it and things like that. So we do that as well.
Where are you located?
I'm located in Southern California, Palm Springs.
Oh, yeah. Well,
But the thing is, I work the East Coast market, so I do buy over here. It's just very crazy for the prices we have. So I own properties, and I own a lot of them in Texas, but I also have Florida, Georgia, Ohio, Pennsylvania. Those are, and what I do is, yes, I do long-term rentals, but I also do wraparound mortgages and co-living spaces, like renting by the room. Those are the strategies that we do for our investments as well. And then getting into the mobile homes, we have like an affordable village of domes and mobile home parks.
So that's what I'm trying to do. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to find at least 10 acres where I can make a mobile village for affordable homes for people, because the world is really going to shit, and I hate to say that, but nobody's caring for the poor. Not everybody needs a 4-bedroom apartment. There's a guy out there with a child, or a woman with a child, and they need a home too, and nobody's catering to that. I don't think.
Right.
I mean, the government isn't catering to it. So what I do, actually, I consider it missionary work, because
nice.
I went over to Sydney yesterday, and I met up with the tenants, and I met the kids and stuff. And my question was, do you like the home that I prepared for you? and they were like, "Oh, we love it," because some of these people come from really bad places, and I take pride. I give them chandeliers. I give them 3D walls. I do a lot. Okay, I make nice homes, and it's not just to sell. I want families to feel something, to know that you're somebody, not because you're renting, you're not. But then I go there and they do things like they're stuffing. You got to watch these people all the time. Remind them. You don't put baby wipes in toilets. You just don't do that because So I have to keep putting amendments onto my leases. I don't know if I like this landlord thing again because again I did it before, and I don't have the patience for it because I find myself mothering. You know what I mean? Like more
Yeah.
trying to nurture and to strengthen people. And I don't
So
know.
what one of
Yeah.
yeah, that's great. I like that because it sounds like we work the same thing. So like landlording is kind of it's tedious and it's not like my favorite thing to do. So I sell on wraparound mortgages, which is kind of how we're buying this property from you. Which what happens is it actually takes away the liability from you being a manager, landlord, all of that.
Yeah.
So the strategies I do is I sell my properties the same exact way that I'm trying to buy from you. What happens is you're not actually the landlord anymore because you sell it. You put the new buyer's name on title. And so you hold the bank note. You have control of everything, but you no longer have to manage it, have to change anything within the house. Like if a roof leaks, right now the mortgage company you have, if your roof, let's just say, were to leak, it's not like you're going to call the mortgage company to fix it. That's your responsibility,
No,
you know.
I
And the
call
same
the
thing here
insurance.
is, yeah.
I
Oh,
call
where
the
you're, yeah,
insurance.
you get, yeah. Well, you get me, but like the bank wouldn't do crap for us. It's our
Right.
responsibility. Our insurance or our own money is what's going to have to happen. And so what I'm getting to is when you sell this way, Sharon, you lift up liability. You're not a landlord anymore, so you don't have to worry about tenant issues, any little things like the toilet isn't working or the showers is leaking, all of that. You release that, you put it onto somebody else's back, and now you're just a note holder. You're the bank now in second position for the remaining money that you have left over. So you are the
Yeah.
bank now, less liability. That's one strategy I love doing because I don't have to actually be a landlord and manage crap, right? The other one
Yeah.
I do is a co-living space. It's called Pad Split. Pad Split is an affordable style co-living space that works with the government. I just built one out and we just have it. We just put it up and listed it in Texas. And what happens is a lot of homeowners can't afford an entire house by themselves. If they're making $20 or less, it's hard for them to afford everything. And so it actually is an affordable style, kind of like a Section 8, but we don't have to wait for Section 8. We just need to build out the house. And then Pad Split brings in the tenants that come into it. Now, with government assistance and everything like that, they have access to telemedicine. The tenants that come in here, they have access to like telemedicine because typically they can't afford their insurance on their own. And then they have credit reporting every time they make a payment, which is weekly. It goes towards their credit. And what happens here is you take a property and you could 2.5 times the rental income because you're going to add 1 or 2 more rooms into the house, making it 3 to 6 rooms, and you rent by the week and you multiply that by 4 weeks with all the rooms, and now you actually 2 to 2.5 times your rental income and enough expenses. You make enough in there to pay your property management and the pad split company, and now you don't have to do much to it. And so it
Well,
was
you have to
something
show
that I
me.
do.
You have to
Yeah,
show
yeah,
me.
I can
You
tell you
got to
all of
tell
this
me
stuff
more
for
about.
sure.
You can show me about that because I have a 2-family house that I didn't touch yet. I just bought it. I bought it in July. I didn't even go. I didn't even see it yet, but I know where it is and everything. And it's a 2-family, zone 2-family. It's a big property, but it needs a whole total reno. I just don't have money to reno it because I want to do something special there. Um, I just don't have the money for it, and I'm trying to build my credit back up and build my money back up, and it's just taking a toll on me. But I would like you to
Well, I mean, if the deal
explain
makes
to
sense, I
me.
might be able to bring you one of my lenders that will partner with you or something, depending on they either lend you for the term you need with the return or partner with you. meaning they'll come in here for equity and fund the whole project. That's how I get my deals done too. Is I don't touch my own money. I just go and I call my lenders. Lenders, there are private lenders out there that are not institutional. That's their job. They want to lend in real estate. They don't want to buy. They don't want to sell anything. They just want to lend in real estate because there's better returns.
Okay.
Well, all the properties I buy, I typically need money. Like, let's say I buy this from you. I'm going to need, $15,000, $20,000 down, closing costs, holding costs, a couple little things. I go and call one of my friends and say, hey, let me borrow that money for X amount of interest, or you come in as my funding partner. I'll give you half of the deal, and so you can leverage yourself when you're down right now while you're waiting. You can either wait, or you can just bring somebody in to help you out for a piece of the pie or a return that makes sense. I don't mind going over all of that with you here soon.
Yeah. Yeah. I got that. That's fine. But it's good that you have those resources available. So
So what if we
tell
did
me,
something like this? Okay,
walk
go
me
ahead.
through our deal. Walk me
Okay.
through what our deal would look like.
So I was thinking this.
Paperwork.
So like at the 170 price, it's hard for us to give you like a large down payment, right? And so I was thinking, okay, if we're at 150 with 10% down, that's 15 grand. If we went higher, we'd have to go lower. If we went higher price, we'd have to go lower on the down payment. It's going to be hard for me to get you 20,000, but if I was able to do something like maybe 155, 160,000 and keep the $15,000 down, would that make sense to you? Because I'm most likely not going to be able to get the full 20, but I might be able to stretch the price a little bit more and still keep the down payment.
Okay. I will take 165. Yes.
So I would say 155 to 160, and I can get
Okay.
you the 15,000. If I go up a little bit more, like 165, 170, I'm gonna have to reduce the down payment.
No, I can't afford that.
Okay, so if I could do 160 at $15,000, and then I got to look at what the payment comes out to with tax and insurance and everything, and then give you 200 extra bucks. Is that something that's more attractive to you than giving you, obviously 150 with 15 grand or 170 with like 7,000? Those probably don't work, do they?
Yeah. No. The numbers, the 15 with 160 is fine. Now let's talk about the time, the term, the
Okay.
time, because I can't wait 10 years. I wouldn't want to wait 10 years to get six. What is that? What is the balance on that?
160, 15, 45, 45,000.
For me to get 45,000, I'm not going to wait 10 years for that because it wouldn't even make sense.
Got you.
I can't wait 10
So
years.
here's where we are when we do these type of things. Is I put 10 years to make sure that the rates come down and there's principal pay down. But here's where we are. We're typically at like 7+ years when we're doing this, and here's why. Is we know the market rates are high. They take time. They're going to take time to come down, just like they did from 2008. And so there are times where I have to put 5 years because the homeowner wants to see 5 years on there, and I tell them that's not going to work. But if that is what you really need to see on paper, we can put that. But this is what I put as a contingency clause. Basically, it states that, hey, after 5 years or after 7 years, we're going to get an appraisal on this property to see if it appraises for the remaining balance that we owe you. And since we're going to be paying 9% up front on that 100,000, these first 3 or 4 or 5 years, obviously it's going to be all interest. We're going to owe still a lot of that 100,000. And, obviously making $200 payments to you over, 3 or 4 years is maybe like 8 to 10 grand or something. So I'm going to have a balance still done in 5 or 6, 7 years that's mainly interest, and there's still a lot of principal. So what happens is after, like a 7-year mark, if we get an appraisal and the property does not appraise for the remaining loan balance, I continue the payments until we can appraise, so that I'm not stuck with, hey, we're going to foreclose on you now because you can't balloon us out. You can't pay me everything that what's left over in the time frame that you told me. And that's why I'm saying, hey, 10 years is what we can do confidently. Otherwise, if it's under that, I need to put the contingency clause in there to protect the asset and myself too, so I don't lose out on that. And so if we do reduce the term, I'll put a contingency clause. So if I do like 7 years, I'll put that contingency clause. But here's where I'm at too. Like I said, if the rates were to drop before those 7 years, I'm going to go with the rates, right? I'm going to go and refi you out. If I can find an investor that's willing to pay me on top of what I paid for it in the next 5, 6, 7 years, I'm going to get out of it as well. I'll have somebody get out of it. I'll be able to make it work for me as well. So I don't always keep them and go the full term. And I don't really want to go that long with 9%. I really hope that in 2 or 3 years, the rates get dropped a lot lower. We probably won't see 2 or 3% again, but I'm sure they're not going to stay at these 9% rates, you know?
Right.
And so that's where I'm at. So on the term, I could be a little flexible. I just need to protect myself. So if I go do like 6 or 7, like the 7-year mark, I'm going to put a contingency in there. But if it works where I can balloon you out sooner, that's what I'm going to do as well, because I also know those are also something you want to do. But I'm also not interested in holding 9%. So I'm hoping that the rates get better sooner than later.
Yeah. Oh my.
Does that make sense? Is that something that you would work with me on? If I reduce from less than 10?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm hoping and praying that the rates go down because, yeah.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it's hard for anything to happen. Like investors and homeowners, we can never sell at market price right now if we're going to be hit with 9%. Like it's very hard. I buy in all these other states. Everybody's struggling trying to get their asking price, and it's not even the value or the asking price. It's the interest rate that's attached to that makes it like, oh crap, this isn't going to work for us as investors, and oh crap, this is too expensive for us as just retail buyers that want to live there. It's not even the price. It's the interest rate that doubles the payment.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So if we did like $160, $15,000 down, and we did something like 6 or 7 years with that contingency, is that something more comfortable you with? And then obviously no prepayment penalty to us. So if we could balance you out sooner than those 6 or 7 years, we'll do that.
Okay. That sounds like I can do that.
Okay. So I'm going to underwrite this to make sure everything's good. And then, as we move forward, I'll help you with some of the strategies.
I still have a question. Walk me through how we are going to be doing this and making you responsible for the things that I'm responsible for right now. How does that happen?
So it's a sale. So what happens is once you sell something, whether it's on payments or not, it's not yours anymore. Like here's an example. Let's say that you have, a couch, that you're upgrading your own house and you have these couches. Okay.
I understand. Don't go back that far. Here is what I want to know.
So what happens is when I buy, I become responsible. So the debt stays in your name, the title goes in my name, right? And now because I own it, I am now liable to the property, right? I'm liable to the payments, the interest rates, the tenants. We're putting money into it as well. I'm not looking to do all this work, all this follow-up, put money into the deal and then lose the deal, right? So here's some main concerns. Carlos, this sounds good. My credit's still attached to this, right? Yes, it is. So is there any any weary points where if you don't make a payment, it messes up my credit? Yes, it does, right? Because it's still on your own credit. And so there's that big concern is this one, what happens to my credit, and what if you default on payments, what happens to me as far as protection, right? And so the how we overcome that as investors is you already have tenants in place. So typically if they weren't in there, we would keep the down payment entry fee that they give us and leave it in an account. What happens is this is what's going to happen for us. When we make do our numbers with the $15,000 to you, we add closing costs, and then we have holding costs, which are going to be a couple months of reserve payments in case any of these tenants in there become late. So we're not late. So we're going to throw in we're going to underwrite this $160,000, but not just $15,000. There's going to be like $25,000 out of our pocket going in, because we're going to have to hold reserve into an account so that if our tenants are late, we're not late. Because if we're late, it's going to affect your credit. You know what I'm saying? And it's going to hurt you. And so that's why you want to work with a company that knows how to do these transactions and be responsible, because at the end of the day, we don't want to affect somebody's credit, but you also don't want to affect your own credit, right? And so then there's another scenario where Okay, but what happens if you default, right? Just like any banks, how am I protected if you're on title? How do we, like, if I decided you're not making payments, I can foreclose on you just like a regular bank? Is that right? Yeah, it is right. Well, what happens in those scenarios? Well, that's actually a pretty bad scenario for us to have happen to us, and here's why. Because we spend all this time, and time we spend money trying to just work the leads and the deals. And then after coming to an agreement from when we first talked till now, there's all that extra time and resources that we spent trying to get this done. And then that's when we start dropping the bigger money, right? When we put that $25,000 into this. Now we've put 3-4 months into this plus 20+ thousand dollars into this. And if we just default on $1,600 to basically give you the house back and you get to keep the cash we gave you down, that would be a really bad loss on our end. And so that what we do as an investment company is we just have our reserves in place, we underwrite it accordingly, and we have the homeowner protected with these scenarios. Those are like our main concerns for homeowners is sounds good. Sounds like you're going to give me some money. It's going to help me now, and you're going to take over my liability so I can move on to the next project. But what happens with this? Yeah. So like in an event, if I were to get in a car accident or abducted by aliens, we have money left in a reserve account, and I have my partner on this deal with me. I have a partner on this, and so even if I'm affected, we still have things dialed in case. And so these are like our main questions that we've gotten from homeowners over the past.
Okay. Okay. It sounds like you have covered your Q&A. So
Well, I do this, so I'll
so
tell you
how
this.
long?
I teach this nationwide. So you're not talking to somebody who, hey, I'm just here to do. No, I go on YouTube and Zooms, and I do this for some really big companies and some really really big programs. I'm on YouTube. I've done deals in lots of states. I've been in acquisitions for a long time. I teach this. I teach this to a mentorship that buys and holds properties, and to a wholesale company as well. I educate people in this space on how to do this. I even partner with others who need help. And so I'm doing this with a little bit of experience.
Well, that's good. It's always good when you have an experienced person.
Here's
Um,
where we are. Look, as
uh,
investors, here's how we are, Sharon. We're investors right now, and it's either we have to find a really, really good deal in today's market because the interest rates and prices are weary, or do we learn to adapt and can we pick up some new strategies and they still allow us to pay market prices and still get deals done? That's what I learned. Otherwise, I'd have to be on the back burner looking for an extremely good deal, and my business would be a lot slower than it is right now. All I did was I found out how to do this, which is not hard, seller finance or creative financing. I found out how to do it, and you know what? You'll find out a lot of homeowners are open to this. And all it is just, hey, we tried giving our cash number first. That doesn't work. We have a couple other ways. You find out one of those ways works. And so it helps us out still improve our business. Otherwise, we'd be, a lot slower on business because the rates out there are ridiculous. It kills all the deals.
okay. Can
So
you
did
hear
you
me?
want? Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Did you need some time to think about this still? I know that you wanted to make it. You wanted to take some time to think about if you wanted to go the agent route or this route. What made more sense?
Well, you did bring out a valid point. Being with the agent would cost me closing costs and such, which I would lose money.
Hmm. Here's
So
another thing that we have to look at is the longer you take to make a decision, we don't know if the interest rates go up again or the prices in the area go down, which I think would be worse if you waited 2 or 3 months and then you happen to see the rates are higher or the prices have not gone up, which means people are going to want to lower their offer. And here's why. The longer you have it on market, the more people see you're struggling. 60 days. This is how I do it. When I buy from agents, because I buy from agents, I look at listings that's been on market for 60 to 90 days and I see distress. And I know as an acquisitions manager, I know that I have a better deal coming on these ones because there's more distress. We're going to see you the same. If you list this and 60 days goes by and 90 days goes by and I see there's not much contact rate, not many offers that gone into it, I already know that that person is probably a little distressed and is willing to take a discount or a better deal. And so I already know that this is how other investors think. So if you go that route, you have more of a what if situation going on that can take you 3 months. You may not get your price, and then you have to pay commissions, closing costs, prepayment penalty on top.
I got it. So let's
Yeah.
do.
Okay. So I have Sharon McKay. Let me see if I made